We're here at Te Pātiwera, Huriawa Peninsula. It's within the East Otago Taiapuri. We've put a temporary closure on the taking of pawas. The reason being that it's just too accessible, and as more and more people value the pawa and therefore collecting it sort of quicker than it can grow, really. The Rahui's been on the peninsula now for about 5 years, so we're in a period, I guess, of rebuilding those pawa stocks, along with other species as well that either rely on them or enhance their growth.
Ko hikaroro te mauka, ko waikawaiti te awa, ko te taiawarai tiru te moana, ko pukataraki te marae, ko kaitarua heke heke te hapu, kaitahu te iwi. Reira, tēnā koutou. Kia ora, my name is Brendan Flack.
Communities, they have the most to lose or to gain from, looking after the things that they have. So our elders were given the opportunity to, under the fisheries legislation, to apply for a taiapuri. And it stemmed from a concern about one species, the pawas.
When you can't get yourself a feed, if you go 3 times in a row and can't get a feed, there's nothing to be got, or not in a place that's easily accessible. If I can't get it in and out in under 20 minutes, then it isn't there. So I begin to get concerned that more than me have gone there and taken the bits that are usually available at that time of the month in that place.
Ko tēnei te pepeha māku o tētahi atu. Ko hikororo te mauka āriki, a nāna ko waikowai te awa, e rere ana ki te tai, ko te tai o Araitiru. Ko karetāne, te wāhi tūturu, ko kāti huirapa ki Puketeraki te tūpuna, ko te rua heki heki, me mō ki tuarua ka hapu tāku. E tipu aki au I o tākau, engari, kei te noho au I konei, no te mea e hoko whare tāku. No reira tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, mauri ora, kia tātou.
A taiapuri on this area. It was finally granted in 1999.
It was a really unpopular decision, but if you keep the whole of your community who enjoys Huriawa and enjoys the pawa, and you keep them informed, then they get in behind you to kind of say, yeah, we don't want to lose it completely.
It was, I guess, really the start of an understanding of our country about the need to conserve or look after the resources. I think previous to that, the resources seemed to be fairly abundant. There came a time when people realised that, communities realised that some of their cultural resources, if you like, were disappearing and something needed to be done.
There's a tag that we put on these probably 3 or 4 years ago, and that corresponds with a number that's written in a book somewhere. If we can find the number on that, they were measured across the length, rim to rim, width and the weight. And then the idea is you go back a year or so later and find these pawas. But this one's wow, that tag's still on after 4 years, so can't read it. Gives us an idea of the growth rates then.
The marine scientist came to us and said, well, we're looking at the, those paua, they're growing beautifully about what we'd expect, there's plenty of food for them, but they're getting fat, they're not getting along. And so it was like, oh, well, we're never ever going to have legal sized paua there on Huriawa again if this continues. And the scientists were really interested in why the paua were getting fatter but never going to reach the legal length. And it was just the same breeding stock, because it's not like paua sort of wander from here to Moeraki for a bit of romance. They don't go that far. So unless you physically shift them, your stock's so reduced, it's probably the same whānau. The man who had the paua farm in Awarua was looking to sell off his stock because it just was not making the money he'd hoped it would make. So he approached the commercial harvesters and said, did they want to take them to reseed where they normally harvest? And no, they didn't want to buy them. They were happy to take them, but they didn't want to purchase them. And so the Taupuri members heard about this and they got with other runaka and said, shall we purchase them? And so that's what we did. We purchased 500,000. If 1 in 10 survived, that was a hell of a lot more than what we started with. And so there was a whole group of people up and down this part of the coast who assisted us to reseed by giving us boats, by feeding us, by doing all number of things. That happened for this area, the Taupuri area, and then people moved over to the Kaik and the same thing happened there. There was kaitahu and people who were lovers of paua, who were recreational users and who really wanted to not abuse it and wanted to give something back.
It's healthy. You got the little guys, you got the big guys, and yeah, they're making their way into this intertidal where they are pretty happy because they're out of the sight of predators for a few hours a day.
I don't go out and karakia, but the first thing I take I always put back. And I always on the way say, if today's a good day, takaroa, thank you very much. If it's a bad day, not quite so happy, but never mind. I'll try tomorrow, I'll try next month.
In my day as a youngster, you didn't you weren't trying to plant forests, we're busy cutting them down. And the same goes with the moana, there's the understanding that it is a finite thing that lives and grows. I don't think was in the understanding of many people in the previous generation.
So it's about doing your mahika kai on any one day and not endangering the kai itself or the gatherers of the kai mahika kai so that you can get a feed.
It's irresponsible of us in many ways to go and get paua, some of these ones that are under threat at the moment. That's why we eat the watercress and we love that taste of the ocean as well, but I guess it's time for the payback. While we can still actually choose to restrict our take rather than have it thrust upon us.
One way to cook them is to stand them up like that and then just put a nice rich sauce on them that disguises some of the sandiness if you haven't got time to sort of wait 12 hours for a tide. And that's just got bosun, so that's some of the tomatoes out of my garden and some turmeric and some mari onions. Looking good, looking good. Is there much juice in there?
Yeah, it's good.
For slurping.
Just nice.
The understanding has grown that those pauas don't live in isolation. They're connected to, everything that's out there, and everything that we do on the land as well can affect them because they just live in that fragile margin between Papatūānuku and Takaroa. by acting, I guess, in a responsible way, trying to lead it, I guess, in many ways. You know, we can stand there, I guess, with, you know, hand on heart and say, yeah, we've been doing our bit.